The carnivore diet originally sparked my interest because before being diagnosed with Crohn's, I did have psoriasis, ADHD and a few other issues as well. I asked my specialist what foods I should and shouldn't eat after being diagnosed, and they didn't give me any nutritional support at all. They just said, take the pills, hope for the best. If that doesn't work, you'll need or my testosterone had tripled, my inflammation was in a healthy range, all my markers were back on track. So that's where the seriously high intake has definitely helped with the body composition.
Welcome to Chief Life, the podcast that cuts the crap with science-backed insights on health, nutrition and performance. Get expert advice, actionable tips and everything you need to take control of your health and live your best life. Let's get started. In today's episode, we chat with Lachy Oliver about his personal experience with Crohn's disease, mental health, and how animal-based nutrition changed his life. Lachy is an animal-based performance coach who has faced and overcome significant health challenges, including anxiety, depression, ADHD, and substance abuse. Now, following a strict animal-based protocol, he is on a mission to help others look, live, and perform better by embracing the power of an animal-based diet. Welcome, Lachy, to the Chief Life podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing, so happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you so much. Likewise, it's great to see people spreading the word about healthy eating and animal diet. So I'm really excited to ask you all the questions about your transformation and your health journey. First of all, I want to ask you what initially led you to explore whole foods, meat-based diet as an alternative to medication for Crohn's? Like, did you research it by yourself or did anyone give you advice? How did you go about it?
Yeah, so the carnivore diet originally sparked my interest because before being diagnosed with Crohn's, I did have, like you mentioned, psoriasis, ADHD and a few other issues as well. So it definitely did spark my interest previously. I was lucky enough when I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I did have a background in nutrition. I was very lucky for that. And yeah, it was the main decision, I guess, was seeing people close to me, like my family members that have been on medication their whole life and seen their symptoms get better for a little bit and then eventually get worse. And they just are in this never-ending cycle of medication. And at the time, I was 27. I was like, I'm too young to start that cycle of being on medication for the rest of my life. So yeah, I made a decision to find a way to do it naturally, if not at all. It was a very confusing time, I must say, because obviously we're brought up in this society where you listen to your doctor and your doctor is smarter than, I am, obviously. And it was just a very confusing time because I was saying to my doctor, the thing that got me really was I asked my specialist for like what foods I should and shouldn't eat after being diagnosed, and they didn't give me any nutritional support at all. They just said, like, pretty much take the pills, hope for the best. If that doesn't work, you'll need surgery or chemo. So I was like, my options weren't looking too good. So realistically, it was a do or die moment. I didn't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. I was determined to find a way. And the people I learnt off was like Dr. Sean Baker and Anthony Chafee, those sort of guys. And I'm just grateful to be alive in a time where we have access to this information.
Yeah, that's great that you found those guys. I'm actually really shocked that your doctor didn't give you any dietary advice, like not at all.
Nothing at all. That's what I still like. That's been my fuel throughout this time because obviously, your doctor's supposed to help. And she was a lovely lady. I know she wasn't doing anything wrong. It's just how they're brought up and educated, I guess, unfortunately. But the thing that got me was it's a digestive disease. So obviously what you're putting into your gut has an impact. So I still remember like when she was talking to me, it almost felt like I was just another number and she was just reciting facts from the textbook. It didn't seem like she was talking from, an experience or seeing what works for her patients. And that's what led me to the animal-based diet and finding a way to do it naturally.
Yeah, wow. I'm actually shocked. And so did you end up taking the medication at all or you just did not take it?
I took it very briefly. So when I went into hospital, my inflammation levels were through the roof. So they put me on these anti-inflammatories to begin with, and then I took them. But I honestly noticed my symptoms weren't improving. If anything, they were getting worse. So my guidelines for the use of the medication was, if it gets worse, you can increase the dosage. I had a little bit of a flare up, like a second flare up after leaving hospital. So I increased it, and then I started noticing pretty quickly it was actually making it worse. So I stopped from that day. I probably took them for a total of 2 weeks, if that. And then I never went back to my doctor, stopped medication completely, and did it all naturally.
That's great. So can you just describe what was your diet like prior to the diagnosis, and what is your diet like now? What do you eat and what do you avoid, and why?
So prior to my diet, previously I was actually all about flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, typical sort of gym bro diet, protein, chicken, rice, and then that was the way I was living really. When I was younger, I did drink a lot, I guess a lot of early 20-year-olds do. They go out and party and everything like that. That was probably my downfall. But previously, the last few years, I was eating pretty good. I'd say 80% whole foods, but then that 20%, I'm a big eater. I'd go out, get takeaway, have a few beers and everything like that. Now my diet is mainly slow cooked meats, red meat in every meal, eggs in every meal, and then I'll have a bit of pumpkin and things like that. But previously, when I first started, because I'm on a strict protocol at the moment, which is actually trying to heal the gut completely, so it's a bit more intense. But the first step that I took was started carnivore for a couple of weeks, and then I introduced blueberries, banana, and then coconut water. That was my base. So it was meat, eggs, banana, blueberries, coconut water, and that got me out of a flare-up very quickly.
Okay, so who helped you with this protocol, and why did you choose, out of all the fruits and veggies, you chose banana and blueberries?
So the first one was, I know it's very strange. Well, it was all trial and error. So it was a very long process. It was part of an elimination diet. It was lots of hours spent on YouTube and reading articles and, messaging people that I've seen on, Instagram and stuff like that to see what they were doing. So literally hours and probably weeks of time. But I stripped everything back to red meat. So when I first left hospital, I was like, I'm going to eat really healthy. I'll have meat, vegetables, fruit, and that's it. Still had symptoms. And then I was like, okay, this isn't working. So I'm just going to go full carnivore. And then I literally just added in one food at a time. I'd trial it really slowly. So when I introduced banana, I would have a tiny bit of banana and then just slowly build up. So the thing with Crohn's, it's a gift and a curse at the same time, because you notice really quickly what your body agrees with and what you don't. Within minutes, your gut will start hurting. So pretty much what I did, anything that hurt my gut, I will just cut it out. That was my method. I don't know if it's the best thing to be doing. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, but it's what worked for me. And I noticed pretty quickly, after not being able to eat for about a week to 2 weeks, and I lost 7 kilos, I could digest red meat, I could digest bananas and blueberries. So I just stuck with that.
Yeah, that's great. Trial and error. And do you have coffee? Do you have alcohol? Any things like that?
So I've recently cut out coffee. I'm about 2 months into this strict protocol. Originally, I was drinking coffee. I cut it back heaps. So I used to be a caffeine addict. I'd have, 2, 3 a day. But now, previously I was having 1 a day, and I've cut it back to none a day at the moment. And for alcohol, I have quit drinking, not forever. I'll probably have a drink one day every now and again, but I haven't drank since New Year's. So 10 months now. So no alcohol.
That's great. Well done. How are you feeling without the
I feel
alcohol?
good.
Do you feel much different?
Oh yeah, massively. Just the energy is crazy. What I did was, once I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I sort of had New Year's Eve as my last send off before I really knuckled down on everything. And to be honest, I had a good crack, and I was more than happy not to drink again after that.
Yeah, but how old are you now, if I don't mind me asking?
I'm 28 now.
28, early. I stopped drinking around 30, 31, and I never looked back. I'm 44 now, and I just love not drinking. I have a glass of wine very occasionally, but most of the time I don't drink. And you're right, like the amount of energy you have and just mental clarity, it's priceless.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was your push to stop drinking?
I just didn't want to drink anymore. I studied sport and exercise science, nutrition, and also like genetics testing and stuff. And through all the study, I realized that after 30, my body is not going to be able to process everything and detoxify as well as it was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So I just decided I want to be healthy. I don't want to age prematurely. And I just pulled the plug on it and never looked back. And I'm loving my life. It was a good
Yeah.
decision.
100%. You feel so much better. Just the clarity and waking up and fresh on a Monday is such a big advantage that not a lot of people have.
Yeah, so good. I actually look forward to Mondays now. I don't hate them like I used to.
Yeah, exactly. The morning's best part of the day now.
Yeah, 100%. Love it. So, but tell us, so when you used to eat your, flexible diet, whatever, and then you changed to full carnivore or meat-based diet, did you find it challenging? Like what was your biggest challenge? Did you have any setbacks? Tell us about any struggles.
Yeah, so it was a huge adjustment. So I was like the typical balance guy, if it fits your macros, like as long as you're training sort of thing, like very much about lifestyle. Like to give you a bit of a pre-context, up until about probably 3 years ago, I think I drank every weekend for as long as I can remember. But during the week, my nutrition would be really good. But the challenges at the start definitely felt some sugar withdrawals for sure. A little bit of, upset stomach, you get the runs and everything like that. And then the brain fog as well. But the thing that did surprise me the most was how much of it was actually just habit, like how much of it was just feeling like you need to have, dessert after dinner or snack on something when you get home from work or have a beer on a Friday. The hardest part wasn't necessarily the cravings. I think it was actually breaking the routine and breaking the habits.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And how has your body composition changed, or has it changed at all when switching from your regular diet to the meat-based diet?
Yeah, body composition was a big one. So generally, when I was in my early 20s, I was always quite lean. But I noticed as I got, had this underlying health condition, I was really struggling to build muscle, maintain muscle mass, and then stay lean all year round. Like I was having to do a lot of work, even if I was tracking my calories perfectly. I was just finding the results were taking a lot longer. And now I'm building muscle like I was in my early 20s again. And like, my teenage years, like just recovering quick, not feeling as sore. I think just from having that a lot higher protein intake, especially with Crohn's, because an issue that we do have if you do have Crohn's disease is malabsorption of nutrients. So even though, on my fitness pal, I'm getting enough protein, my body's probably not absorbing the right amount. So that's where the seriously high protein intake has definitely helped with the body composition.
Yeah, 100%. I find it as well on the carnivore diet. I don't get sore even after running ultra marathon because of all the protein. So it
That's
definitely
crazy.
works. Yeah, it's crazy. I would never believe it if someone told me that I can run ultra without eating anything and then not be sore afterwards because
That's
I just
insane.
ate
Yeah, that's
after a race.
awesome.
I know. I always get so sore after races, and I think it's because I used to eat so much carbs and I didn't have enough space in my stomach for the protein. And as a
Yeah.
result, I end up being really sore because of all the muscle damage and nothing to build a new muscle from. But yeah,
Yeah.
tell us. So for many people don't know what Crohn's disease is and what are the symptoms. Can you tell us what were your symptoms when you got diagnosed and how the symptoms changed in response to the diet, and how do you feel now?
Yeah, for sure. So Crohn's disease is a digestive disease. It's pretty much an easy way to describe it when you're in a flare-up is imagine like when you're eating, you've just swallowed glass and glass is digesting through your stomach. That's what the pain feels like if you're in a bad flare-up. So generally what happens is your gut lining just doesn't exist anymore. So if you have a healthy gut lining, when you're digesting food, it just goes through smoothly. If there's no like gut lining there, pretty much it's the food is just dragging along your digestive system. So depends where you have the Crohn's disease is where you're going to feel the pain, but it can really take over your whole body, especially when your inflammation levels are that high. Like when I was at my worst, it was hurting everything. During the flare-up, it literally was at a point where I couldn't eat for about a week, and then I was just slowly building up. In that process, I had lost 7 kilos, and it wasn't like, 7 kilos of fat where I was looking really lean. It was 7 kilos of muscle and just pure mass, really. And some of the symptoms I was facing was, the high inflammation levels. My inflammation was actually 70 times what a healthy limit is when I got my bloods done. And this was about a month after I was out of hospital. So I can imagine it was a lot worse before. I had pain just going to the toilet. So people get one of two things. They'll either get like the runs and they'll get that like a lot, so they won't be able to stay off the toilet, or they'll get really bad constipation where it's like a big, pain and they can't really pass anything. So that's what I had. I had the constipation. I don't know which one's better. They both have their pros and cons. But the bad part was during the flare-up where it would hurt to do anything really. So even getting up to go to the toilet would feel like I'd just run a marathon, like literally like just going to pee. So it got to a point where I didn't want to drink water because I knew if I drank the water, I would have to get up to go pee, and like just going to the toilet would be so painful. And just slowly building up. To give you your perspective, I'm someone who runs marathons, trains every day. But when I tried to get back into training, I couldn't walk. I still have it on my Apple Watch somewhere, but it was like my first walk was about 600 meters, and I couldn't do it. I was like, I tried to walk okay, but I just felt so shit, so tired, just brain fog. And it's definitely holds you back for sure.
Yeah, and so then when you adopted the carnivore diet, how long did it take to get rid of all the symptoms completely?
It was crazy. It was very quickly. It was I would say, obviously I was starting from a point where like my base level of health was terrible. So I wasn't quite at optimal health for a while, but for symptoms to go away, I noticed a big difference within probably 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. Yeah, it was crazy.
And what about the psoriasis? How long did that take you said that went away as well as a result of the meat-based diet, yeah?
Yeah. So everything improved along with it. So I started the diet just for the Crohn's, but I noticed for the first time in years, my psoriasis was starting to go away. That went away really quickly, like within 2 to 3 weeks, like psoriasis was gone. Completely. I also noticed after a while, once I was getting back into training and work, I'm someone who has had ADHD, like my whole life, always was the kid, with the not so good report card, couldn't sit still, had to, go out of class and everything like that. All of a sudden I could work 10-hour days and focus and read books, and just insane, which I've never been able to do my entire life. And then aside from that, my anxiety just went away. So my anxiety was more like, used to be a bit of social anxiety. I would say I'd get a bit overwhelmed now, which was probably part of the reason why I would drink so much. But now I can go to things, an event sober, have a conversation and not feel the slightest bit anxious, which is absolutely life-changing.
That is. And there is actually a lot of research behind eating meat for mental health and anxiety especially. Yeah,
it makes sense.
Have you read any of it?
Yeah, definitely. I've looked into it. It just makes sense. It's a crazy thing, and I'm ashamed that it took me so long to figure out. But all these ingredients and all this ultra processed food and the environment that we're in, it obviously is a very big determining factor of our mental health, our gut health, and health overall.
Yeah, people don't want to believe it until they experience it themselves, because it sounds so strange that gut and brain are so interconnected, but they really are. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever gotten your gut microbiome tested?
Yeah, so I did. I used Ice Cream. They're a good company in Australia. So I got a full test done. So I did a stool test, everything like that as well. And yeah, I had a lot of different parasites like Candida. I had all my markers were off really. So what I'm keen to do in probably a few months, waiting till the end of this protocol, I'm going to get it retested just to see the difference.
Mm-hmm. So how long are you on the protocol for?
So the protocol I'm on at the moment, we pretty much play it by how my symptoms are going. So it's been 2 months now. The lady I'm working with, Catherine from My Proper Nutrition, she estimates hopefully 6 to 7 months, and it's going to be a complete reversal of the Crohn's. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So can you tell us what do you eat at the moment throughout the day?
So at the moment, it's slow cooked meat is like 90% of the diet. So it would be like a red meat only. So it'd be lamb or brisket or something like that. And then boiled pumpkin, usually for the vegetables. And then with each meal, I'll have sauerkraut. I can add in a few different things like avocado and eggs and things like that. But that's pretty much it. So it is pretty much just that. The slow cooked meat is good, but you definitely get sick of it. But on the weekends, I get steak like twice a week. So they're good days when I get the steak.
Yeah, that's great. So what kind of slow cooked meat do you have? Just beef and lamb or anything else?
Yeah, just at the moment, just beef and lamb. So red meat only. I eat it 2-3 times a day. I'll have a decent amount of it. And it's just a high fat, lower carb diet I'm following.
Great. And do you don't have any snacks? So just 3 meals a day?
Yeah, mainly just 3 meals a day. If I have a snack, I can have like a herbal tea or a bone broth. That would be like a snack for me. But yeah, just 3 filling meals and yeah, no snacks at the moment.
Yeah. And are you doing anything specific to rebuild the gut lining? Like, do you take any specific supplements for it or have any strategies to rebuild your gut lining?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm taking probiotic once a day. I'll have magnesium cod liver oil. I'm taking some of the chief supplements, the beef, liver, heart and kidney supplements at the moment. I think that's about it. But bone broth is
What
a big
about
one
collagen?
for him. No, not taking any collagen supplements. I have a lot of bone broth though. So I have that about 3-4
Yeah, bone
times a
broth
day.
has got a lot of collagen. Bone broth
Yeah.
is good gelatin, which is partially hydrolyzed collagen. And then
Yeah.
there is not a lot of research on humans, but a lot of animal research indicates that it could be good to rebuild your gut lining because it's made from
Yeah.
connective tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big base of my diet at the moment, the bone broth.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's very similar to my diet. And so has your relationship with food changed since discovering this diet in regards to your mindset around eating, maybe being more mindful, snacking less, or what are the main changes?
Oh, 100%. So, like I was saying, food was definitely a big habit thing for me, but there's been like a lot of benefits as well. I think we live in a world where we have so much access to food 24/7, and it really takes up a big chunk of our mind. And previously, I'd be very hungry all the time. I was like a big eater. Luckily enough, I was training lots, so I didn't, gain weight or anything. But I would always be thinking about food 24/7. Like even while I was eating my meal, I'd be thinking about my next meal. But now, like I eat my meal and then I'm done. I'm not thinking about it. As well, I always used to look at diets like, keto, carnivore, and think, oh, it's crazy. Like, why even bother doing that? But in the same breath, if you can control what you're putting in your mouth, that is probably one of the most disciplined things you can be doing. And a lot of these coaches and a lot of people out there are preaching discipline, but have zero control about what they're putting in their mouth. I think it's one of the best things, because if you look at anything that's going to be drugs, alcohol, smoking, food, they're all things that you're putting in your mouth. And if you can't control that, I believe you can't control a whole lot.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Have you encountered any skepticism from the medical community and like in regards to your treatment, and how do you approach these conversations?
Oh yes, 100%. I get a lot of skepticism. I get, especially in the comments section, I get a lot. It's funny because back when I was drinking every day, I even used to be a smoker when I was younger. Like no one would question it. Like no one would ever question it. But now I'm eating meat and eggs every day. Apparently, I'm going to have a heart attack. So it's a funny world we live in. But Yeah, I do get some criticism. A lot of people think it's crazy. A lot of people just don't understand it, or they say, you should be eating vegetables. And I'm not against vegetables or anything like that. Definitely can see the difference with like cutting them out. For myself personally, I feel like there's a time and a place to do it, especially if you do have a gut disorder. But yeah, the big ones would be like cholesterol. Where are your vegetables? They're probably the main two. And then, yeah, I guess from medical professionals, there's the bowel cancer for carnivore, even though this is like healing my gut and healing my IBD. But yeah, how I respond to it, like the proof is in the pudding. I was in hospital. I was told I was supposed to be on chemotherapy. I was potentially going to have to shit from a bag for the rest of my life, which isn't fun. And I ran a marathon. I got rid of my symptoms within 3 months. I trained and ran a marathon. I signed up for the marathon, I think the day after my doctor said to take it easy, because I decided I'm not going back to see her anymore. So I was like, I'm going to sign up for a marathon, even though I can't walk right now, but I'm going to do it. And yeah, the proof is in the pudding. Like, I've gained muscle. I feel great. I'm running a business. I train every day. I'm on no medication. And, maybe the studies don't say it's the right thing to be doing, but if I followed the studies, I'd be on medication right now.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I'm just wondering, did you go back to any of these doctors and told them like, I'm doing this and I don't have any symptoms anymore? Did you bother going telling them?
No. So I sort of managed it myself, and I'm not giving this as medical advice, everyone, if you're listening. So, but I did.
Yeah, no, there's no medical advice. Yeah, we just want to hear your story. I want to point it out. Yes, we're not trying to cure anything.
Yeah,
it's just a very interesting story. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't go back to my doctor. I had my colonoscopy. I got my results, and I decided not to go back. Mainly because, I still remember the day, and it's something that I've used as fuel for my training and my diet. Is that when I asked about nutrition, she didn't offer any help, and she almost was like looking down at me for asking about nutrition, like it's a stupid thing to even be suggesting. And the whole process within the hospital was crazy. Like I've known it's not great for certain conditions, the healthcare system. There's obviously times we need doctors and you need surgeries, but for certain issues, diseases, and everything like that, I'd never realized it was this bad, because as soon as I woke up from my colonoscopy, the first thing that she said to me was like, oh, we need to update your vaccines, and you're going to need to take medication, just throwing me all these different types of medication without offering me any real solution. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'll think about the medication. I was going to take it anyway. And then the thing that got me was when I asked about nutrition, she almost felt like she was looking down at me, like I was stupid for even thinking such a thing. So I didn't go back. I got a platinum blood test on iScreen, which tests like everything, because a general GP blood test doesn't test a whole lot. I looked at all the markers myself, saw what vitamins I was deficient in, saw all these different markers for like my gut health. I went to a naturopath. She was great, but she didn't quite, she was definitely an improvement for where I was at, but didn't quite understand Crohn's to the extent that I wanted. Like, I wanted to completely heal it. And yeah, pretty much all I did, I just completely went single ingredient foods. I had a few supplements here and there, and I got my bloods done again a few months after. My testosterone had tripled. My inflammation was in a healthy range. All my markers were back on track. My cholesterol was a little bit high, but everything else was perfect. And yeah, and from there I was like, you know what, this is working. And here I am.
Well, that's absolutely incredible. What an experience. And once again, sometimes people do need medication and sometimes they do need surgery. But I think even in those cases, the doctors should still help us with the nutrition alongside the medication and surgeries. Like, it should still be part of the treatment regardless. And it's really sad that it's not. But there are good doctors out there, like Dr. Chafee, Dr. Paul Mason, but there are not many out there. It's not a norm, unfortunately, not yet.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's gonna change.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think a big part of the issue is like being in hospital is how jam-packed the specialists are. Like, they don't have a spare second to get updated on information or do their, own research on nutrition and things like that. Because as an example, like I was in hospital for 3 days before I even got to see my specialist. And that whole time she was working. And then when she come to see me, she was very rushed. And it's an unfortunate thing because I feel sorry for them because they're so busy and obviously they're making a difference. But like a lot of them might not have the time to, research or look at new information that isn't just on medication. But if we lived in a world where we could have nutrition alongside medication and doctors were more educated on nutrition from the get-go, it would be an amazing world.
Yeah, it would be. Hopefully it's going to happen one day.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how have you combined your diet and exercise with some other lifestyle strategies or changes, such as stress management or anything out of ordinary, any biohacking methods?
Yeah, so I went all in on everything. So I went researching like a maniac. I was already pretty good with a lot of the stuff before. I had a good, sleep routine and everything like that, saunas, but I just went all in. So I got like the blue light blocking glasses, grounding, got into that, sauna, ice bath, just morning light, like pretty much every single thing you can think of I've been doing. But my routine now is I've got my morning clients, then I'll come home, I'll have breakfast, get morning light, do some grounding, blue light blocking at night. I try and get my sleep sorted. I do wake up a bit early. That's my downfall, like a bit off the sunrise from about 3 a.m., which is too early, I think.
That's very early.
Yeah, it's a little bit too early, I think. But it's aside from that, I'm doing everything I can just to keep healthy. I want to get to a point where I think the main thing like I'm pushing is just to never be in that position again where I feel, vulnerable or feel like I can't run my business, because it was a scary time, and it's but it also gave me a lot of, I guess, wisdom and personal development as well, because it made me realize how short life can be and that every day is a gift. And, if you don't do the things that you want to do when you want to be doing them, life's pretty short. So you might as well look after your health and take action and get after it where you can.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. And I want to ask you if you could give a practical advice, like the main things to do for someone who has got a Crohn disease and they are considering helping to improve their symptoms with a diet. Like they might be taking medication, seeing their doctor, but what nutritional and lifestyle advice would you give them? How to start, what to do first, what are the main things?
So a couple of things. The first thing would be, if you're doing it and you are if you're serious about coming off medication or at least reducing your medication, unfortunately with Crohn's or, IBD, any real gut issues, you don't have the luxury of flexibility and letting your hair down on weekends. And it is what it is. And you get to make that choice. You can choose if you take the medication and have the flexibility and potentially need surgery in, 10, 20 years time. That's up to you. It's your life. But if you are serious about coming off medication and doing this naturally and feeling better, we don't have flexibility. But the main starting point that I did and what worked for me was the elimination diet. That was the turning point, because I started off, like I said, with whole foods. That wasn't working. And then as soon as I cut back to meat, I noticed instantly I felt better. It does depend from a lot of people I've spoken to and a couple clients and that I've spoken to as well. Some people still feel like they can't digest meat. If that's the case, go slow cooked, grass-fed, grass-finished meat, because a lot of the times if you have a super sensitive stomach, even eating any form of grain-fed meat can affect and trigger symptoms. So if you need to get grass-fed and as well as grass-finished, because as you'd know, the just grass-fed isn't always grass-finished. So that would be the big thing. And then with the elimination diet, start with that for a few weeks, even a month, see how you feel, pretty much until your symptoms get better. And then you can work on starting to add in foods. But ideally, it's all single ingredient foods for sure.
Yeah, and so you said you're slow cooking your meat, but that means that it's not much fat, is it?
You can use fatty cuts. So like when I'm taking mine out of the slow cooker and putting it, in containers for the week or whatever, I still put all the fat in with it. And then I'll reheat it like with the fat. So you definitely want to keep the fats high for sure. If you're not eating much fat, just pop in or cook with some ghee or grass-fed butter if you can tolerate it. And yeah, definitely keeping the fat intake high.
Yeah, that's great. Such a good advice. Okay, I've got last two questions. If you could give only one health, fitness or wellness advice to our listeners, what would that be? And what is your favorite book and why?
Oh, good questions. So for the one, I actually thought about this the other day. I was trying to think of how I would explain to someone to get healthy in one sentence. So ideally, like nutrition, I would say 95 will be nice. We'll say 90% whole foods. So it's a little bit more realistic for some people. 90% whole foods, protein and eggs in every meal. And yeah, just making that majority of your diet. And then for training, at least lift weights 4 times a week, a little bit of cardio a few times a week as well. That would be the base. My favorite book would have to be David Goggins' first book. That's why I started running, actually. It Can't Hurt Me. That was the first proper book where a lot of it resonated. And, you know, I've read personal development books and business books before, but I don't know, just the way he spoke and the way he puts things really resonated with me. One big thing out of it that I got, and it was actually the reason why I started running, was his quote where he was saying anyone can be great at something they love, but it takes discipline to be great at something they hate. And I hated cardio and I hated running. I was just lifting weights, and just as a bit of an experiment, I got into running and then got obsessed with it, and it's been awesome. So thank you, Mr. Goggins.
Love it. So now you love running?
Yeah, I'm into it for sure. It's been a little bit tough at the moment with the protocol, just adjusting to the lower carbs and everything like that. But yeah, I've been running a marathon. The end goal is an ultra, which we'll get to. I'm just working on building that up. So if you've got any tips, let us know.
Well, I can definitely catch up with you and give you tips, because in May this year, I did my first ultra marathon with absolutely no carbs. I was
Wow.
deep in a strict carnivore diet, so no caffeine, no carbs. Did the race fasted, didn't do any fueling before the race, just ate the night before. I had steak, and I had steak after the race. All I was eating
Wow.
was steak and eggs for like
Oh,
5
that's
weeks.
awesome.
And I did really well. I felt great throughout the race, and I was not sore at all afterwards. Wasn't tired. I was just feeling amazing the whole way. Like, I would never believe it if someone told me that until I experienced it myself. It was wild how
Oh,
much
that's so
different I
awesome.
felt.
Well, yeah, you give me hope. I have to get fully fat adapted because I'm having a little bit of carbs at the moment, so I wouldn't be completely fat adapted. But yeah, I
Yeah.
need to go all in.
Yeah, we need to have a catch up with one of our other podcast guests, Alex McDonald. He never ran a marathon in his life, and his experiment was running 5 marathons in 5 days, not eating anything. He was water fasting.
Is that the keto
Yeah,
marathon
yeah,
guy?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I follow him. Yeah, that's awesome. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I think I can get back into running.
Yeah. We need a
Yeah,
running catch up.
yeah, 100%.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. That was really interesting. I love hearing success stories like that, and it's very encouraging for others. So thank you so much, and let's catch up for a run soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. Love what you guys are doing, and it's been great to see.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for listening. Let us know in the comments below what topics interest you, and don't forget to follow us.